Hey guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you some basic lessons on lighting. Here I have three lights that are all being placed in different ways. I've got one light over there, one light up there, and one over here. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I've collected this gear over time. I don't expect you guys to have all of this equipment available. When I was a student myself, even though I was very interested in the craft of filmmaking, I did not have the money to invest in a lot of equipment like this. I basically just had enough money to pay for a used 60D, a used Canon camera, and a kit lens, and that was it. And that's what I used for a good long while, and I was able to get some okay results with just that. But even if you don't have that, you just have a phone, you can get some results that are pretty good. But how? I mean, I have no lights. I don't have the equipment that you have. And really, I mean, even the equipment that I do have, it's pretty bare bones. There are people that have a lot more than I do, and they don't use it, or they don't use it properly. And then there's people who have a lot less equipment than I do, and they know how to use it so well. So it's really not about what you have, it's how well you use it. And you can get great results with very little amount of money. Actually, you can get great results with the amount of equipment that's lying around your house. When it comes to lighting, you don't really need fancy lighting. You know, you can get by with some really cheap stuff. And right now, I mean, I've got some desk lamps here, and you've got window lighting. It's actually quite dirty and nasty. But yeah, this is honestly what I had, like a simple desk clamp and a light bulb. And you know, they're not great, but still at the same time, you can get by. Let me just put it that way. You can get by. It's going to take a little bit more effort than if you have the professional equipment, but you can get by. Really, having all of these different lights and all of these different pieces of equipment, you realize that you don't actually need it. Your quality isn't going to just boost up just because you have it. The reason that you buy this type of equipment is just for personal time. Things just are quicker. You're more efficient with it, and you'll get better results because you're not finessing so much. You're not using duct tape. Instead, you actually have professional clamps and dimmers and knobs. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over this shot right here and the way that I've lit it. And I'm also going to go over some of the DIY solutions that you can do when you're just stuck at home and you've got no other resources. So if you look right here, I have on this lovely C-stand this large umbrella light. So the largest light that is illuminating the subject is called the key light. And that is what is causing the most amount of exposure on my face. If I turn off all the other lights, except for this one, you'll see that you'll have the majority of the subject, in this case me, you're gonna have the majority of that illuminated. And you can see, you know, like there's a lot of shadows and it's not quite doing everything. I could position this light slightly more in the center, and then I would be a lot more front lit. The reason I position this light right here is because I find that that's a much more pleasing look. Right now, I've got a large umbrella on this light. That helps me so that I don't have to deal with those harsh shadows that just don't look right. It's also a lot more pleasant for me to look at. If this umbrella weren't on, I'd be squinting and going, ah! I would look terrible. I would look really bad. So after that, we have this little guy, and that is the fill light. Its job is to avoid those large shadows. If I just have the key light on, you'll see that it's very half and half. I look like Two-Face or something like that. Even though it's very small, it's not very bright. It is just illuminating me just enough to be able to fill in all of these shadows here. And so that's really important. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the light that is up there. If I didn't have this light, well, I wouldn't look very good. I'm going to show you what this light does just by itself. Okay, now I'm going to show you what this light does. What would this shot look like if you didn't include a hair light? In some ways, I don't think this looks too bad because the rest of the lights kind of fill me in, but it's also not great. If I was wearing a black t-shirt, I would look like a floating head. But really, if I hold my head up in just such a way, kind of looks like I don't know, had a really bad accident with a chainsaw and it went right through my head. I've got to turn this on. I'm gonna throw up looking at this frame. Okay, and I've definitely seen videos where this is the only light that's on. You know, you see this look a lot in music videos. You can see a lot of backlit and silhouettes and kind of just the way that it shapes the face. It's a very artistic light, and you can do a lot with it. Maybe you guys want to experiment and try different things out. Feel free to, you know, have fun with it. So those right there, those are the three lights that you will find for the majority of the time. You got the key light, the fill light, and the hair light. How on earth do you pull off a look like this or get some decent results when you don't have lights? It sounds quite hard, but really it isn't. So what you do in this case, you would go and find a nice big window, and you would have that placed somewhere where your key light is, not your fill light, but where your key light is. You want that to be the largest light just because sunlight is going to be the most pleasing, it's going to be the most natural looking, and you're going to get some very flattering results if you have that being your key light. See where you can position yourself. Maybe you're sitting at your desk or sitting in your living room, and maybe you can position yourself just in such a way where that light is most flattering. You don't want to necessarily be straight on with that light. You want to have it where you have some dimension. You want to have some shadows. Proper lighting is not just about how to blast your subject full of light and just make it so that it's as illuminated and bright as possible. That's not really good lighting practices. Really, shadows are just as important. You want to play with shadows and the lack of light just as much as you are playing with the light itself. Because if you're just illuminating, you're just blasting yourself with light, you're not really able to flatter yourself properly. Now, what if you don't have a window? What if you are in a basement apartment? Well, that's kind of a problem. So in that case, bring in some lights. That's where these things can come in handy. You don't necessarily want to blast this light straight onto your face. You want to have it where this light is diffused properly. And you can do that in one of two ways. So if the light is not getting too hot, what you can do is you can tape or put something in front of the light, like a piece of diffusion or like a shower curtain. These are $1.50. Super cheap, you know? This is very much a translucent material. One layer might not be enough, so either get 2 shower curtains or fold it on top of itself. Then it's thicker over here, and the light doesn't pass through it as bad. Even as I'm holding it up, you can see kind of what it's doing. This is a weird example. That light is still illuminating me, but it's passing through all of this diffusion and still hitting me in such a way. Right now, this is not the best example. Also, my arm's getting very tired, so I would not recommend just holding on to it like this. But you get the idea. You know, it's meant so that it softens the light, so that it can do that. So if you have direct sunlight that's coming through you, or you're using lamps like this, then you should probably be using some amount of diffusion, either a shower curtain, some amount of like parchment paper works really well. Parchment paper is really great if you're using regular light bulbs, because parchment paper doesn't burn in the same way. You just have to get creative in the way that you clamp it on, because you don't want to use tape or an adhesive. You know, if these things get hot, then you're kind of screwed. You know, it's going to start smelling, and you're going to have could start a fire too. So make sure you're being responsible with how you're diffusing your light. If your house burns down, not my fault. Okay, just wanted to let you know that. The larger the light, the softer the light. That's why windows are really great. This light, you know, it's not going to be quite as nice as window lighting. Even if I have a really expensive bulb in here, and if it's positioned in a really nice way, it's just not going to look nearly as nice as an actual window. So after that, well, how am I going to be able to get a fill? You know, am I going to grab another one of these? No. Right now, you can use a white piece of a paper or a white blanket or something where your key light is hitting that and then bouncing off, and then that's illuminating my face very nicely. Okay, now what do I do about this hair light? I've got a professional C-stand here. I've got this weird arm that's sticking out. How am I going to be able to achieve this? You know, I don't know. This is one thing that I just don't know. But I think everyone can come up with some creative solutions. Maybe you have a ceiling fan, and yeah, maybe the light that is from the ceiling fan might not look great, but you've got an extended arm there that you can just kind of clamp on. Maybe use a flashlight. Maybe try to find some sort of clamp, or get a magnet. Duct tape works great. And try a couple things out. Experiment a little bit. Yeah, I set this shot up in about 20 minutes. I don't think it looks too bad. You know, it's not horrible. I still have a hair light. I've got some bounce from this duvet cover, and all of the window light is coming through about 2 layers of this this shower curtain. Let's just say you're in a basement apartment and you don't have this window. Okay, for one thing, I think this just looks kind of cool, but that's not really the point. I'm talking about how to light a subject properly. So I will be the first to say, this is not professional. These are not professional results right now. I'm holding up this bounce board about 1 foot away from my face, and this bounce board is reflecting off of this light here. Yeah, that's all that's illuminating me. I'm recording all of this with one single light. I'm sure that maybe you guys don't necessarily want to go rip off the shower curtain off of your shower, or go pull the sheets off of your bed to be able to use as a fill light. If you really don't feel like doing that at all, if you think that takes too much effort, maybe try filming outside. Not saying to go and film in public. Please do not do that. That's a bad idea. But if you have a nice backyard, use it. You know, daylight is very nice, and you can get some good results by just sitting in your backyard and just talking to a camera like that. These are just what you have to work with sometimes, and you know what, enjoy it. Get creative with it, and try a couple things out, experiment a little bit. Anyway, thank you guys for watching very much. I appreciate it. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I'll be sure to answer those. Hope you guys appreciate these videos, and I'll see you next time.